Hello everyone, this week I wanted to share with you a video that would get you in the mood for my upcoming sketchbook challenge. So I'll be sharing a 5-day sketchbook challenge starting on the 1st of April here on YouTube. So make sure that you are subscribed for that, but today I have a video from one of my most popular sketchbook courses, Sketchbook Sanctuary. So I really hope that you enjoy the video. Before we roll into it, I wanted to talk a bit about the sketchbook that you'll see me using. This sketchbook is by the Handbook Journal Company, and it's a little bit similar to the sketchbook that I shared last week, which was by CY of Brighton. So if you are having trouble getting a hold of the CY of Brighton sketchbook, you might want to have a look at this range. This is the Field range by the Handbook Journal Company. It comes with a hardback cover and it has that nice heavyweight watercolor paper in it. So it is about 300 GSM in weight, and the paper is a cold press. It also has the ring binder. Sometimes I love ring binders, sometimes I don't, but they do allow the page to lie fully flat, which is really nice. This sketchbook is 6 inches by 6 inches, so it's a really cute little size and it's a square format, so it's really fun to work in. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I will say though that I'm actually wearing the same jumper in the video that I'm about to share with you, which is making me think that I need to get some more clothes for YouTube. So that seems like a good excuse. Anyway, let's get into it. Hello everyone, I'm back in front of my sketchbook, and today I want to take you through a really simple spread. And I like to have a few ideas for simple spreads up my sleeve for those times when I don't have a lot of time and I want to just get a little bit of art in. And yesterday was actually one of those days. I spent most of the day on the computer and I could feel myself getting really stiff in my neck and my shoulders, and I knew that I just needed to do a little bit of art. And I wanted to share with you as well a book that I've been reading, and it ties in with this theme of simplicity. So I've been reading this book, Wabi Sabi by Beth Kempton, Japanese Wisdom for a Perfectly Imperfect Life. So I love this section, Life Lessons Inspired by Wabi Sabi. Wabi Sabi is deeply connected to the kind of beauty which reminds us of the transient nature of life. And down here there are 3 ideas around this. The world looks very different when you learn to see and experience it from your heart. All things, including life itself, are impermanent, incomplete, and imperfect. Therefore, perfection is impossible, and imperfection is the natural state of everything, including ourselves. There is great beauty, value, and comfort to be found in simplicity. So I'm going to hold on to these ideas as I work through this spread today. And one of the things that was mentioned there that I absolutely love is this idea of things always being incomplete. And that's what I think of when I think of my sketchbook. It's not about it being perfect and finished. One page can be left open-ended and you can come back weeks later, months later, and tinker with it and change it. There doesn't have to be a finish point. And that gives you a lot of freedom when you are working, because you're not working towards perfection. You're working towards creative flow. So with that in mind, let's get started on this spread. The first thing I'm going to do is create a very loose, light, creamy background. And one of the things I do like to do in my art is create simple one color backgrounds. So I say one color, but what I will be doing is mixing up a color using a few acrylic inks. So I have the warm gray, and I want to get something that's quite light and beige, creamy. I'm thinking about simplicity, a little bit like the color that I'm wearing today. And so I have that warm gray. And I'm going to add a tiny bit of burnt umber into it, just to warm it up a little bit more, and a little bit of white as well. Also plenty of water, because I want there to be some transparency in the background. So you can see I've created a puddle. I haven't perfectly mixed everything because I want a little bit of variation as well. So now what I'll do is just give the whole background, or most of the page anyway, a nice coating of this creamy colour. You can really have fun just splashing paint and allowing it to mix on the page. And I do this process both with light and dark colours. So sometimes I'll paint a dark background and just let it dry and use that as the base. Sometimes I'll go light. So that's quite warm, so I'm going to bring back a little bit of this grey. How you apply the paint is totally up to you as well. You can use a mop brush like I am, or you might want to use a catalyst blade, credit card, anything that allows you to quickly sort of move the paint around to play with ink and water on the page. And you'll see that I quite often add colour into already wet areas. So once I have my background, I want to keep moving with this. So I am picking up now a Neocolor 2 crayon. This is in the beige colour. I'll be using this crayon directly into the wet paint. So that creates a different kind of effect and feel to maybe if you've used these on dry paper. So what I'm doing now is holding it very loosely and I'm putting in some sort of leaf shapes. With this, the looser the better. So you could use your non-dominant hand would be another thing that you could try. But really wriggle that crayon in the wet paint and see if you can get some unusual and different shapes. So this would be the point where I might go back onto my computer and do some more computer work and allow it to dry, and then the next time I need a break, I'll come down and do a bit more. So that's what I love about working on your dining room table, is that you can leave things and they'll invite you back. So you'll go and do a bit of something else and then you'll come back and it will be dry and you'll just start, adding another layer. So this will be a very loose, layered, leafy page. So now I've picked up my graphite pencil. This is a normal HB pencil, and I'm going to use this to loosely sketch in another kind of botanical shape that's going to go over the top. So again, with this, you can be really kind of loose with it. So now that I have the pencil outlines down, I'm going to fill some of them in with paint. So I have a few earthy colours over here that I'll add to my palette. So a bit more of the burnt umber, and I've got a little bit of black oxide, just a little bit, and mix that together, see what colour I get. And I have a bit of Payne's grey here as well. So it's going to add a little bit of a blue into that, which will make it more of a khaki olive green. So now I will pick up some of this paint and just start to add in some of these leaves, just using them as a bit of a guide. And you can play around with how you apply the paint. Sometimes I like to do a bit of wet and wet, so I might sort of lightly add some colour and then drop the paint in. And I don't worry about staying precise with where I've outlined the shapes in pencil. I actually like it when you can see a bit of the pencil. I just use it as a very rough guide. Just tilt that a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to drop some splashy areas of paint using a little bit of this olive green in a few areas. So you can see it's not about it being perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So if you were at a point where you're like, oh, my leaves are all wonky, this is one of those pages where the wonkier, the better. So now I have a Derwent Inktense pencil in leaf green, and I'm going to come through this wet area and add another sort of botanical shape in a different sort of color, and I guess using a different material just to keep it interesting. Not quite that big. So as parts of your page dry, you can come back over the top and add another layer of color if you want to make any of the shapes darker. You can see me doing that now, just going around and adding in extra leaves. This time I'm using a bit of a finer brush because I have a little bit more control, and I can add extra leaf shapes as I go, just wherever I feel like I want to. So that's where I'll leave it, and before I finish up I'm going to write down the colours that I used, because these pages are very much about gathering ideas and inspiration for later. You may not love the whole spread, but it might be something that you did within the page that you want to remember. So I particularly like this little leaf shape here that I did with the Derwent Inktense pencil into the wet paint. And so little details like that are good to know. So I might write down somewhere, I don't have a lot of room on this particular spread, but I might write down, Inktense, leaf green, and just a few of the materials that I use. So I know I used the Neo color 2 in beige. And then I have a mixture of inks, so I'll write down some of the inks as well. So over here on this page, I'll write down the ink combination that I used. So there were 5 different colors. So let me see if I can squeeze them all in. So there was burnt umber, and then I also had the black oxide. And if I come around here, I used some white. And then let's find another gap up here without smudging anything. So what was the other one? We have, warm grey. So you can come up, and Payne's grey. So Payne's grey. And then up here on the top, I'll just try not to smudge it. So I might just make a note that these were all acrylic inks, and then the other one was warm grey. And one of the things that I love about writing in pencil and doing little notes in your sketchbook is that it takes away that seriousness of a sketchbook. And, with the little notes and things like that, it straight away relaxes me and makes me feel that this page does not need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be finished. It is just a sketchbook page. It's about experimenting and trying out different ideas and techniques. So I'm going to leave that page to dry now, have a cup of tea. I think I've done about 7 or 8 spreads in this sketchbook, but there's still lots of pages and things that I can continue on with. So what I'll do is have a lovely afternoon and keep working in my sketchbook and adding in some of those little details.